the president of the United States was deplatformed because of COVID and because of January 6th, which was also lied about by NPR. And you paid to undo your own vote in the election because of misinformation. NPR and PBS. Spoiler, I'm not a fan. And I'll explain to you why, largely because I don't find dueling lesbian folk piano hour-long programming to be that enthralling. And I wonder, hey, who's listening to this? Who's paying for this? Well, it turns out it's you and me, the American worker. People say taxpayer. The American worker, whether you're an employee or you're a business owner, you are the one who funds the kind of crap that we see on PBS and NPR. And you can we went through this with Snap and Soda. If you can't stop funding to NPR and PBS, dead shows on a dead medium that would never exist otherwise, then you don't believe that there's any opportunity or any justification for trimming government. When you look up bloat, you see NPR in the dictionary, and certainly PBS. So yesterday, this came to a head. We've been talking about this for a long time, but the House Doge subcommittee specifically had a hearing on PBS and NPR, and they grilled some folks from those corporations.
Mr. Berliner, in his story last year, wrote, in the D.C. area, editorial positions at NPR, he said he found 87 registered Democrats, 0 Republicans. Is that accurate?
Yes.
We do not track the numbers or the voter registration.
I mean, it wasn't 44-43. It wasn't 60-27. It wasn't 70-17. It wasn't even 80-7. It was 87 Democrats, 0 Republicans, and you say NPR is not biased.
Do you think that a few years ago, NPR educated America about, quote, the whole community of genderqueer dinosaur enthusiasts? Do you think that that's an appropriate use of tax dollars? This is garbage. I'll spend all of my time doing everything I can to ensure you guys never get another dollar of taxpayer funding. This is complete garbage.
I feel like there's disinformation every time I listen to NPR. And, a media entity like MSNBC or Huffington Post that, in my opinion, consistently spews disinformation, they can do that. They're a private company.
And it's still less left than NPR, according to metrics.
Stories over the last few years. But then he said when the Mueller report came out and Robert Mueller said he found no evidence of collusion, he said Russiagate faded from our programming. Is that accurate? October 2020, the New York Post had the Hunter Biden laptop story. And one of those editors, I guess one of those 87 Democrat editors, said this: we don't want to waste our time on stories that are not really stories. Mr. Berliner said we became fervent members of the team Natural Origin, even declaring that the lab leak was debunked by scientists. Turns out, though, the lab leak is what most people think actually caused the COVID virus.
Sorry, is there a question there?
There is. You guys were 0 for 3 on the three of the biggest stories in the last 5 years. You guys were 0 for 3, and yet you maintain that NPR is not biased?
Wow. By the way, fact check, everything that you just heard there is accurate. We actually had this framed out for the segment. I was like, you know what? Jim Jordan did it. He already did it.
He did it very well.
So just point it out and yeah, that's accurate. Now, let's think of this racket, right? You think about money laundering. That's washing, cleaning money, where you put it through different entities and sources so that people don't really know where it's coming from. Okay? You have the government, and the money goes to NPR, PBS, where they claim that they are actually funded by viewers like you, and then they affect the outcome of elections so that they continue the cycle of government funding. Think about that. Just the Hunter Biden laptop story affected the election. Russiagate probably affected midterms. Lab leak. That's why we were suspended. That's the big reason Donald Trump was deplatformed. Remember that? Do you remember that? I know he's back now, but do you remember that? The president of the United States was deplatformed because of COVID and because of January 6th, which was also lied about by NPR. And you paid to undo your own vote in the election because of misinformation. You won't see it on CNN. You won't see it on any of the legacy media. They'll go, oh, they want to defund Big Bird. Remember that when even Mitt Romney, one of the few things he did right, said, I think we're going to stop PBS funding. People go, why do you want to defund Big Bird? Well, hold on a second. Talk about the news and talk about their relationship with the government. It's a government-funded entity. By the way, let me give you the number, $535 million from the federal government alone for their 2025 budget. $535 million. They've come out and said less than 10% of our funding comes from the government. It's a lie. So, of course, the left, who wants this propaganda to continue, and Pravda are, they came to the defense of NPR because you can't trim anything from the government. Like Representative Greg Caesar, played, by the way, by Keegan-Michael Key. Here they go.
Nailed it. Holy shit, is that a real photo?
That is yeah, bring it back up.
Real photo.
Yeah.
Here you go.
That guy's everywhere.
Holy cow.
That's
the same guy.
It looks like Keegan-Michael Key's on the left because of Elmo.
Yes, it does.
Looks sillier.
It looks like a sketch.
Yeah.
The real person looks sillier than the comedic actor. Let's hear their defense of NPR, including, by the way, Crockett the racist.
So once again, my Republican colleagues are dragging in a
sounds like him
scapegoat,
too.
this time PBS and NPR, to try to distract from the fact that Trump and Musk are robbing working people. It's Sesame Street that's making things expensive. It's
the
Mr. Rogers
$535
that's
million.
blowing taxpayer money.
Mr.
It's
Rogers
listeners
is
like
still on the
you.
air?
So I'm sad to see that this once proud committee, the principal investigative committee in the House of Representatives, has now stooped to the lowest levels of partisanship and political theater to hold a hearing to go after the likes of Elmo and Cookie Monster and Arthur the Aardvark, all for the unforgivable sin of teaching the alphabet to low-income families' children.
Low-income
and
families,
providing
huh?
All it is
accessible
straw
local
men.
news and
That's just
programs.
for sex.
Free speech is not about whatever it is that y'all want somebody to say. And the idea that you want to shut down everybody that is not Fox News is bullshit. We need to stop playing.
These people are fundamentally stupid and dishonest. You want to shut down everybody that isn't Fox News. And if you're more offended that you think that's racist, get out. I'm not seeing them want to shut down anybody. MSNBC? No, no one's trying to shut it down. CNN? No one's trying to shut it down.
No, I'm trying to shut it down.
Oh.
We would like to see it fail of its own accord. No one's trying to shut it down. It's $535 million. And I say, well, who cares? Hold on a second. We went through the billions of dollars going to junk food in SNAP.
Yeah.
Remember the billions of dollars with USAID? $500 billion a year in annual just fraud. Fraud, not misappropriation, not overspending, right? Not inefficiencies, not fraud. We don't know where it goes. Can we not all start with, trans dinosaur enthusiasts at NPR? I don't know, maybe you get a few bucks, maybe $1 million, but by the time we reach $534 million per annum, I think the taxpayer deserves a little bit better for their money. I mean, I know we've lost context, scope so much that we think that's not a lot of money. How much do you think that could contribute to? I don't know, military readiness, $535 million. How much do you think it could contribute to improving education if we want to do that? If we're talking about school, how much do you, what about just not spending it? How about that? The left starts with status quo, status quo, status quo, status quo, more money. That's the solution to everything. By the way, when they're talking about freedom of speech, it's funny. Whenever the left talks about freedom of speech, like Jasmine Crockett, it's not being able to tell them what to say. Well, hold on a second. Why do you say if it's a company, it's their choice, even though they benefit from Section 230? And in this case, wouldn't the same rule apply that the company is funded by the government? So they would have a vested interest, logically, in speaking well of large government. I was raised in Canada. I apologize. And the last election, you wonder how someone like Trudeau gets elected? Right? You wonder how a closeted homosexual who's the love child of Castro gets elected. He promised more money to the CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, than anyone. Literally part of the election. One of the candidates said, I will give, I believe it was $100 million extra dollars per year to the CBC. And Trudeau said, I'll give 150. Guess who got the positive coverage? You want that here in this country? $535 million from the federal government for NPR, PBS, to fund projects like Woke Word of the Day.
With Louder with Crowder, learning is fun.
Hi, I'm Josh Firestein.
And I'm PJ.
And we're here to tell you about today's Woke Word of the Day, which is...
At the logo. Today's word is marginalization.
That's right, marginalization. Marginalization is like a more spreadable substitute for butter that some people have argued is a more healthy replacement.
What?
Learning is fun.
That cost $12 million.
Got to pay those guys. Got to pay them well.
Let me give you some history and some interesting information, too, that you guys may, it kind of gets glossed over. All references, links available in the description. PBS, NPR, they have a very long history of being far left in their bias. A 2014 Pew study showed that NPR was more left-leaning than MSNBC, CNN, BuzzFeed, and HuffPo.
Wow.
And they were significantly more left-wing than Fox News was right-wing. Here's another crystal clear example, and there's an Easter egg in here. 2023, there's this show on PBS, Washington Week with The Atlantic, and they had a roundtable attacking Republicans for questioning what we then found out to be true only a very short period later, Biden's mental acuity.
It's not just making an issue of Biden's age. It's lying. It's saying he's senile. It's saying he's demented. Saying he's out of it. I mean, I think it's important to sort of state for a fact that a lot of these are just
right. Mentally, he's quite acute.
Wrong.
Yeah.
That was Jeffrey Goldberg.
How's that guy?
Sounds familiar.
Mentally, he's quite acute.
Yeah.
That was September of 23, you morons.
That was Jeffrey Goldberg, the guy at the center of this signal scandal right now. So just in case you wondered how incestuous it was.
Ugh.
And even after that, from 23 to 24, the PBS NewsHour used the term far right 27 times more than the term far left. Here's something interesting, too, and this comes down to the pathology of the left. Okay, the average PBS viewer, right? It's a middle-aged woman who owns a home, has at least one child, a pet, a postgraduate degree, right? They're 44% more likely, the average PBS viewer, to hold a doctoral degree than the general public. In general, they have a $250,000 portfolio, and less than 10% of them give to PBS or NPR. In other words, these people are wealthy. These people are the example of white privilege. Generally, the average PBS PBS viewer or NPR listener, we don't have the numbers on NPR. I bet you they're even worse because it's radio, so it's likely even older and more privileged. Go look at that. And they don't. Why do we allow this to be said as a narrative that the left is somehow more empathetic or compassionate? This is the perfect example. You want it? Just pay for it. You can't even get 10% of privileged, white, wealthy, doctorate-holding viewers to give to this shit. But they think it's compassionate to take from you who makes less, you who likely has invested less, to pay for the crap that they want to watch. It's a wealth transfer. You are some wealthy, privileged, white bitch's plaything.
And I love it when Jasmine Crockett and others go out there and say, you're trying to take away public programming from poor kids. Poor black kids, typically, is what she says. I just did this thing, PBS primetime viewership, 80% plus white. Yeah. So they're not even reaching the target audience very well. And by the way, if you like Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers, they can stand on their own. Yeah. They can go out there. And by the way, these women, these white women, 126% chance, the more likely that they're going to have a $250,000 portfolio. Do you also know that probably means they have internet? Which means they probably have more access to all of human history, or than all of human history, to content for kids that's free for them on YouTube and other platforms. It's not like this is the only place they can go.
Right.
Get our money back.
Yeah, but they have Daniel Tiger. So.
I mean, here, you know what the test is? Here's the test. You go back to that stat that Jordan was saying where he said, what was it, 88 folks who were Democrats were
87-0.
And this is the argument you use when someone goes, this is terrible. No, there's no bias. Be like, okay, great. So during the next 4 years, we're just going to switch it. It's going to be 87 Republicans and 0 Democrats. Okay. And if they even twitch just a little bit, and their eye, of course, will blow out of their brains, right? Like their skulls will collapse. Like that's how you know it's a problem, right? So if you're like, hey, if the other side was doing the exact same thing, right? Yeah. What if we just did 60-20, right? 60-20, would you be okay, Republicans versus Democrat? Yeah. They would say, absolutely not. This is state-sponsored communication. This is propaganda, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, all right, great, let's just turn it around.
Yep. It is state-sponsored propaganda. Just to be clear. To give you an idea, to put in 87-0. 87-0, and they say, that's not biased. They want you to believe that their journalism is necessary. And shows like this are more extremist, even though we make our references available. 87-0. Do you realize that if you grabbed 87 people in downtown San Francisco or Oakland or Detroit, you would have registered Republicans? Do you realize it would be a statistical impossibility? I guarantee you it would probably be at least 7.
And she claims that she didn't know. Yeah. Oh, we don't keep a record of people's political affiliations.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you just accidentally. You just accidentally got 87
and zero. Yeah.
That just happened.
That's like getting a 0 in the SAT. You're right. They're like you literally get 1,200 points just getting your name right.
For Christ's sake, I think Mr. Rogers was Republican.
It's just it's everything is a lie from the left, and I mean that. They go, I don't think there's any bias. Just say that there is. Look, go ahead. Let's play this game. Ask me if there's some bias here.
Is there any bias?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and I let you know. And I ask you to fact check me. And I've been saying this I came up under the tutelage of that guy, Andrew Breitbart. I don't believe there's such a thing as unbiased journalism. I don't think that it's a thing. I don't think it was ever a thing. If you go back to Walter Cronkite, Brian Williams, anyone, take your pick. It's not a thing. Human beings have their own biases, period. I'm honest about it. NPR is still trying to keep the charade alive. No. We're just objective. You're 0 for 3 on the biggest stories that would affect the outcome of the election, and always making the error to favor one side, the Democrats, and 87-0. If we can't cut the $530-something million to NPR or soda from SNAP, it's very clear the left just believes that you can't cut anything from government, and if you try, they'll call you racist, homophobic, trans. And I know it sounds crazy, like these two things aren't related. Correct, they're not. That's just what they do because they have to keep the lie alive. Let me ask you this. What was your favorite PBS program when you were growing up? I didn't like any of them. I watched Ghostbusters, Ninja Turtles, and He-Man because I'm not a homosexual. Let's go back to
Sesame Street?
My favorite was Tyrannosaurus Sex.
Yes, Tyrannosaurus Sex.
It was a genderqueer dinosaur show.
He said as a child, not as an adult.
Mine was
sorry.
Mine was Tricerabottom. Let's go on to
They do gay.
They have sex hammocks?
Oh man,
they really do have sex hammocks.
They found a way.
It's so exciting. Turns me into a faptor. The Bongino Army's like, what does that mean?
Careful.
Sorry.
You do it too much. You do it too much afterwards, you'll be Brachiosaurus. These are dad dinosaur jokes, and we feel bad about it. We feel just as bad doing it as you do watching it. Hey, if you're still watching this, congratulations. It's been free this whole time. Consider hitting the notification bell or watching one of these videos for more like-minded content. I don't know when this is airing, when you're watching this. It could be in the future after Skynet has fallen. If it's 3 years from me filming, it's definitely fallen.